Hello, everyone. Today is July the 9th, 2024. It's Beverly L. Nickerson, double water, Scorpio Cancer rising. Today, I'm going to do a full ocean oracle reading using this deck. It's called What Seashells Reveal About Your True Nature. And this is the deck that I've been using for the last few years. I've gone through 4 modules and I've learned in depth about these seashells. I have an affinity for seashells. As you see, I have on one of my inherited seashell necklaces. My mother made tons of them. And let me move back a little bit. And today I'm going to give you a full reading. Now, this is a reading I did for myself. So if you've tuned in today, whether it's today on the 9th of July, 2024, 94 degrees outside here in Northern Virginia. We're going through a big heat wave. As most of you know, if you're in the world, on our blue planet, which we're trying to keep blue so it doesn't turn into dune. I'm doing this reading today. It was a personal reading for myself, but I wanted to give everyone an idea of what a full reading looks like. Now, a full reading takes about 40 minutes, and you pick 8 to 10 seashells that they stand out to you. You find them. Now, there's so many that are beautiful, so it is hard, so don't overthink it. But I will email you all of these seashells. Now, as you see, Michelle Hanson did a great job in putting them together. So 1 through 66 is called the behavioral group. So what does that mean? It means she came up with what these seashells mean. Seashells mean seashells on the seashore selling seashells. Nice tongue twister. She created this deck using different ways of, it was almost like she channeled it, in my opinion. So if you look at these seashells, it's based on their behavior. So the mollusks live inside the seashells. How do they behave in the ocean? How do they interact with other crustaceans, other mollusks, other seashells? So that's one of the questions. Another question that we ask is, if you look on the back here, this is number 66 through 106, their interaction. And this has to do with like their interaction with each other and with man. So for example, if you look at this seashell here, you've probably seen it if you're in the holistic field, and lots of people use this seashell to sage their house or their location. So that may have to do with cleansing. And then the next one, this is name and appearance. So what is the name of the seashell? Now, each seashell also has a scientific, let me move back. Each seashell has a scientific name as well. So I haven't memorized all the scientific names, but they have a common name and a scientific name. So the name and appearance. So the seashell means something based on what its name is and what it appears to be. Okay. And then the last category that we've got here is intuition group. And this is where Michelle just said, I got intuition about what the seashell means. Now, because I am an empath and a sensitive, and I'm double water, and I'm not an astrologer, but I watch a lot of astrologers on TV, on YouTube, like the Leo King and Pam Gregory. For the next 3 years, Saturn is in Pisces. So what does that mean? Saturn is structure, organization, top-down structures, and it's in Pisces, which is water and flow and all of that. So we are going to see more people using ocean, water, for a healing modality. So this is the time to do it. So if you want to go off and create something, if you're into water, this is a good time to do it. Healing baths, and seashells are becoming more popular. Because not many people, everyone's heard of goddess cards and tarot cards, but not many people have heard of Ocean Oracle. And they've been around for a while. I actually got this deck like 12 years ago when I went up to Massachusetts and I met her. It wasn't until, I would say, 2018, right after my mom passed, and I got all these seashell necklaces, and I got bottles covered with seashells, and I got photo albums covered with seashells, and you name it. And some of them she just found on the beach of Martha's Vineyard. We don't have the place there anymore, but she just found them there. A lot of them were the St. James scallop shell, which has to do with the hero's journey. And then she started branching out and ordering seashells. So they came from all around the world. Like this is a cowrie shell. They come from Africa. And if you see the seashell, if you look up close, kind of looks like a yoni. A yoni is the private part of a female, someone born female. I'm not going to get into that other part, but if you're born female, this is what it looks like. And this seashell has to do with overcoming fear. So women in Japan would actually hold these seashells without knowing what they meant while they were giving birth. Now, if you've ever given birth in this lifetime, you know in the beginning it can be a little scary, okay? Unless you have the option of having a midwife and being in a beautiful, sanitized pool with your husband there massaging you, especially if you go in the hospital, it can be a scary experience. So women in Japan, way before Ocean Oracle came out, would hold one in each hand as they were breathing and giving birth. So if you were attracted to this seashell and I send you 200 seashells, it could be about overcoming some kind of fear. So I use my intuition, I use what is said in the Ocean Oracle text, and then I create something just for you, a message just for you. And it takes about 40 minutes, sometimes an hour. I can meet you in person, but normally I just do it on Zoom. So without further ado, here we go. Now the first seashell I picked, and again, you can just say, what do I need to know today? Which is a good way of doing it. It's not like specific, like, should I marry John? No, you don't ask questions like that, but you could ask a question like, I've been single for 2 years. I think I'm ready for a relationship, but I don't want to go out there and meet someone yet. And then over reading these 8 to 10 seashells that you pick, that you like, that you're attracted to. And again, I recommend just kind of putting on some ocean music in the background or binaural beats, just relax, just kind of glance over these seashells. Don't labor over it, don't belabor, but just kind of glance. And it does matter, each seashell has a number. It does matter which ones, how you send it to me. So if the first seashell, maybe it takes you 10 minutes to pick the first one, but if the first one is this, and then the next one is that, it means something in the order that I get them. So the first seashell that I picked for myself, and this was just kind of like, well, what do I need to know today? I'm looking to move forward. I did a retreat in Jamaica from the 3rd of June until the 11th. I just ate fruits and vegetables. I was very connected to the ocean. I was connected to the mineral springs. I cleansed out my body physically, because I really did cleanse, that's for sure. And then I also did a spiritual cleanse and drank sacred herbs and plants. And I just want to know, what do I need to know today? So again, a full reading usually lasts you a good 6 months. If you just wanted me to pick 3 cards, then I can just pick them. But this is a full reading. So the first one that I picked, do you see this one? Here. Number 30. Okay. You see, there's the number on it. And it's called Delcert's Lyria. Delcert's Lyria. So what does that mean? So there's a short meaning on the back, and that means pursuit of a relationship causing problems and compromising other situations. Okay, so what is that telling me? It's telling me right now I have to be careful and not to pursue a relationship that could cause problems or compromise me in other situations. So this is kind of a warning right now. So I'm going to read to you what that means more in depth. So I know what it means. It means stay focused on your soul mission, stay focused on your health, stay focused on your wealth, stay focused on your spiritual mission. And if someone comes in my life that aligns with that, great. But if not, be careful. And the reason is this mollusk, oops, sorry. Didn't turn off my phone. That's the whole thing about going live. Okay, so number 30. So what this is about is the Lyria lives in very, very deep water, and it's safe in that deep water. And I understand that because I have spent many years just kind of being on my own. I mean, I have a wonderful son. He's grown. He does yoga, sound healing, and all that. But personally, I have basically been on my own. Sometimes I live in beautiful houses, take care of dogs. I walk through the woods. I do Kundalini yoga online. But I have not been in a relationship or an intimate relationship in a very long time by choice. And so what this tells me here is that the Lyria only ventures out to shallow water when their hormones kick in and they have the mating instinct. Now, it's perfectly normal to have the mating instinct. If we didn't have the mating instinct, I don't think men and women would even get together. There probably wouldn't be anyone on the planet. But because of the mating instinct and because of hormones, and even when you get older, you still have the mating instincts, usually, if you've done healing work. If you haven't done healing work, then you can be one of those people that say, oh, men are this and men are that. And if you start talking in that negative way about all men, guess what? The universe will show you the negative side of men. But if you do have a very clear vision of the kind of person you want, you can attract that. So it is mating instinct and hormones that causes a problem. In human terms, translate into body chemistry and compromising situations. So the only time that this particular mollusk can get captured is when it leaves the deep water and it goes to the shallow water to mate. So this is a warning for me and anyone else who's watching this. Be very mindful if you're going to start dating someone. If you are getting out of your deep water and not like overprotective, but your soul mission and taking care of yourself, and you could be compromised. So that is the message for that one. Okay, so the next one we've got here, let's see. This one here, it's called the Taur's Whelk. Do you see it? It looks like it's coming in. The Taur, T-O-R-R, whelk, which means, this is a good one, someone or something increasing in value. So what this is telling me is if you do meet someone, or if I do meet someone, over time, they will increase in value to me. So have you ever just like met someone and go, oh my God, it's my soulmate, he's the one or she's the one. And it's actually the unhealed part of you attracting the unhealed dynamic that you had in your childhood. So if you grew up around a lot of arguing or fighting or abandonment, you may instantly be attracted to someone who is a runner and you're the chaser. Not anymore. This particular seashell is telling me that if I meet someone, over time, it will be revealed their true value. Don't just take it on face value. Definitely don't swipe right or swipe left and go, oh, that's my guy, because, people put on all kinds of facades. So that's what I'm getting with this one. Now, let me read into it a little bit more. 106. So I have the handy dandy book, okay, Ocean Oracle. And sometimes I've noticed that there's like paragraphs about a particular shell. Sometimes there's just a couple sentences, and then I will just kind of relax and intuit if I need to say any more when I am sitting in front of my client. So basically, there was a time when there were tons of these seashells, the Taur's Whelk. They were everywhere. So now if you go down to the beach on Martha's Vineyard, or you go to the beach in Kitty Hawk, or you go to the beach in Florida, and you see tons of seashells that everybody can pick up, they're not considered that valuable. But when I went to Jamaica, everybody was looking on the beach for seashells, and I'm the only one that found a unique seashell. And everybody thought, oh my God, she's so lucky she found this. And that's exactly what this means, okay? Because the Tory whelk was once a very inexpensive, tons of these seashells. And then what happened was there weren't any. It was very hard to find. So this shell indicates a circumstance where a friend may become a lover or an object may acquire more value than previously realized. Something or someone becomes more precious to you. Now, have you ever heard, and my mom used to tell me this, okay, the chemistry wears off as time goes on. So the best person to be with long term is someone that you really admire as a friend and can trust as a friend. I haven't had that yet. So this is a really good reading for me or anyone else who's tuned in, is that when you meet somebody, create a dynamic that allows you to build a friendship. Don't just jump into the hormonal thing. Even if you haven't had somebody in years, doesn't matter what your age is, even if you're, in your early 20s and those hormones are kicking, really get to know the person if you're looking for a long term. And what's happening on the planet right now, it's very important to be with someone who's on the same page when it comes to spirituality, your health, and the environment. Okay, so the next seashell, and remember, I ask everyone to pick 8 to 10. So sometimes people will pick 8, sometimes they'll pick 10. So I believe I picked 10. Okay, so the next seashell I picked, is seashell. You got it? Seashell number 101, and the name is Pacific Trumpet Triton, one's purpose or calling in life. Again, see how it's all tied together? Because I don't have this memorized yet. So I just kind of scanned through the 200 seashells and I picked 8 to 10 that really resonated with me at this moment. And I am very focused right now on what is my soul mission. And I know it has to do with the rainforest and the environment, working with children, especially children like age 4 to 17. I like the littler ones too, but I like that age a lot. And what is my purpose and what is my calling? Okay, so what is your purpose? What is your calling? Right now, it is very important to know what your purpose and calling is. And also, holistic health. Are you into holistic health? Are you into exercise? So the Pacific Trumpet Triton is, so basically what happens is that the priest, I guess they were called the Shinto priest in Japan, they would take the seashell and they would just cut off the end and they would blow it. Woo! And that, when they would blow it, that let the other priests and people in the area know it was time for meditation. So what this is telling me is quiet time, meditation, breath work. And it can be just 11 minutes. It doesn't have to be hours and hours. That was the old paradigm where you just go off. Now, there are going to always be people that will go off to a mountain somewhere and meditate for years and not be around people. And we need that as we're birthing the new earth or the age of Aquarius. But for me, how I interpret this is that it's really important for me to get clear on my purpose in life right now. And I am getting clearer and clearer about that. And if I'm looking for, or I'm open to, or I would like a relationship, that person be on board. They don't have to be 100% on board. You don't have to be a, super vegan, but again, holistic health, natural living, exercise, all of these things are important. So I ask you to ask yourself, what is my soul mission? And you can look at different adjectives, like, do you want to do philanthropy work? Do you want to help children? Whatever it is, and then find someone that's in alignment with this. So the next seashell that I picked, seashell, you get okay, here we go. Oh, good. I've got it now where it's not the glare. Seashell number 71, Indian shank. Something or someone held sacred or dear. Do you see? It keeps going back to this someone or something. Something's coming. This is really good. If you're looking for opening up your life to a divine partner and you're watching this, this has to do with you too. Okay, the Indian shank, something or someone being held dear. So in India, this shank shell in the Hindu belief, they believe that the sacred Hindu writings were hidden in this seashell. Okay, so this practice stems from the Hindu belief that the devil once hid the Hindu sacred writings in the ocean. Oh my goodness. And their god Vishnu found them in a left-handed shank shell. Now, most of these, they're called univalves, okay, they open on the right. So if there's 100,000 univalve shank shells that open on the right, one might open on the left. So it's very, very rare. So if you find one of those, they go on an altar. And that's why you would see that, with Vishnu, this unique shell. And it says, the rare left-handed version of these shells are displayed on altars, and more commonly, the right-handed versions are made into bangles. And statues of Vishnu depict him holding the sacred shank shell. See number 105. So number 105 talks about that sacred left-handed seashell. So this is really good. The wisdom is often hidden. When they say the word occult, they made it into something like dark, and there's nothing wrong with dark. We came from a dark womb. They made it sinister. But occult just means hidden knowledge. And a lot of the hidden knowledge is coming out now. I mean, you can actually download the Emerald tablets. Okay, 100 years ago, you wouldn't be able to find these things. You'd have to go to some rare library or Library of Congress or something like that. So a lot of the hidden knowledge is coming out now. So this is really good. This is really, really good reading. Okay, number 98. Let's see, put it over here. And I go in, I'm learning this. Okay, there we go. There we go. Number 98. The African land snail. The African land snail. It's very pretty. It says, massive devastation and destruction force affecting many. Massive devastation and destructive force affecting many. Well, unless you've been living in a cave somewhere, you would see that we're having massive destruction all over the planet. Now, we're seeing what are we seeing? We're seeing massive, 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 massive fires and floods, lots of floods. And unfortunately, we're seeing wars popping up everywhere. And we're under a threat of a possible nuclear war. Isn't that insane? It's just insane. So what is this really telling me? Or what is it telling you personally? Why did I pick this seashell? And why are you watching it right now? Well, I believe that it has to do with the soul mission. Because I would say 98% of the people don't want war. If there are 2% of the people that want war, they're considered sociopaths, psychopaths. But the rest of us don't. We just want to have a healthy family, healthy life. We want love. We want to be able to hug trees. This African land snail was so devastating because they're vegetarian snails, but it is said here that they destroyed more agriculture, I'm going to repeat this, than all the bombs in World War II. They destroyed more agriculture than all the bombs in World War II. That's crazy. Okay, so just think of that and think of the possibility of a nuclear war. So the reason I picked this seashell is because, there was a time where their effect was so insidious in the 1930s that the country of Borneo, which I have to look up, Borneo, placed a bounty on these snails. Oh my God. Offering payment for adults and their eggs. So you could actually make money by collecting them because they were eating so much of the crops. Unfortunately, it was very ineffective and it didn't work due to the lack of natural enemies and the aid. So they didn't have natural predators that like to eat these snails. And unwitting tourists, these animals spread from their original homeland in Africa to Ceylon, Borneo, Japan, Hawaii, and Florida. So people were picking them up and they weren't taking the snail out and they were bringing them home. So what this is saying is massive devastation and destructive force for many. So for me, even starting in back in like 2005, I had a real affinity for saving the Amazon rainforest. I worked for the Amazon Rainforest Company and I sold the treasure tea and the uña de gato and all of this stuff underneath John Easterling, and later he married Olivia Newton-John. It was just a delightful company and the amazing, amazing herbs. And now you could just go into, Mom's and get some camo fruit, the highest form of naturally occurring vitamin C that will knock out any virus, no matter what the name is. I don't want to be controversial, but whatever virus you got, that camo, you drink it on a regular basis and it'll knock it out. And so one of my soul missions is promoting the treasures of the rainforest, which are the plants and the herbs, including some of I drank a plant. Well, it's actually a tree, Neo Rao. I don't pronounce things right all the time. Noyarao. And it's a plant. No, it's a tree. And it grows in the Amazon rainforest. And it's hard to find because you can only tell that it's that plant if you see it late at night. And the reason you can tell late at night is because the leaves actually are iridescent and they light up, kind of like a glowworm or a firefly. And it's really beautiful. But they also have a sinister kind of being. Well, I wouldn't say sinister, but it's like a huge boa constrictor that likes to hang out near it. So unless you're an experienced medicine person, don't go looking in the rainforest for this Nirao tree on your own, because you could meet your demise by a huge, huge snake. However, this tree bark, when I drank it, and that was like 3 weeks ago, I started getting the message of be silent, be steadfast, be strong, stand up straight. So I started stand up straight. Don't gossip. Observe. So that is what I'm working with now. So again, this particular African land snail, even though the seashell looks really pretty, it devastated the crops worse than all the bombs in World War II. Okay, so that has to do with my soul mission. What is your soul mission when it comes to the plants and the animals and the environment? Now, the next one that I picked, let's see, there we go. Number 146, Scarlet Meter, embarrassment, humiliation, and shame. Embarrassment, humiliation, and shame. Now, when I was watching the Leo King, or maybe it was Pam Gregory, wonderful astrologer, they were talking about Pluto being in bounds. And as you know, Pluto is the farthest planet out in our solar system, comes around every 200 and some years. And Pluto has to do with the subconscious. And I believe that many people on the planet right now are clearing out their subconscious, because many of us have never dealt with it. Not only our subconscious, but things that we inherited from our parents. So if our parents were in World War II, or our parents had a lot of poverty issues, or they dealt with racism, or they dealt with classism, or they weren't able to vote, or all of these things. So that's why it's so much in the forefront right now. When I was a small child in the 70s, I never had a problem with anybody's sexual orientation or their race or anything, but that's really up on the planet. And I think that has to do with Pluto being in bounds. So what is this? Embarrassment and humiliation. So for me, You remember, like, have you ever heard of the Scarlet Letter? Well, that's a novel where a woman who had cheated on her husband, and back then that was like the worst thing you could do. You marry as a virgin, you stay with the same guy. She had a big S put on her, like branded on her, so no one else would love her. So I feel like it's about forgiving ourselves. So if when you were a teenager or young adult, you did something that you feel is inappropriate now because you know better, you do better, you're more mature, you have to forgive yourself. If you can forgive yourself for that sexual behavior or whatever behavior, then you'll be able to attract someone else who has forgiven themselves. So the scarlet meter is about embarrassment, humiliation, and shame. And scarlet is associated with a person like the Scarlet Letter. It has to do with the classic novel, The Scarlet Letter by Nathaniel Hawthorne. And I remember reading that at some point. Use the Scarlet Letter, it says A, as a symbol for adultery. Oh, it wasn't a big S. That's Superman. So this woman had to wear a big A as an emblem broadcasting her shame. So it's time to let go of your shame and your guilt of past, what you might consider inappropriate behavior. Maybe you're really spiritual now and you don't believe in doing those things. So again, it's about forgiving yourself, and then you can attract the right partner. The next seashell that I picked, see, here we go. I'm getting better at this. Okay, number 143, the Episcopal meter, which is religion or spiritual values. So again, as I said before, see how they all go together? What are your spiritual values? I mean, for me, I'm very eclectic. So I have studied Christianity, I've studied a little bit of Buddhism, I have definitely gone deep with breath work that was founded by someone who hung out with Babaji in the 70s. So it's like getting really clear on your spiritual practice right now. So I'll look this one up for you. And 143, the Episcopal meter. And you know how, like, I went to the Advent school and we had a principal called Father Day, and he was allowed to get married. And I remember there being nuns part of it. So it was like the Episcopal, but in the Episcopal church, I believe they wore those big like hats that look like triangles. And so that's why this is called that, because it looks like that, like those big hats that they wore, which connected them supposedly to the spirit realm or to God. The seashell obtained its name from the resemblance to the meter headgear worn by the clergy. Yeah. Traction to the shell encourages a more conscious evaluation of one's religious and spiritual values. So I would encourage you to put down a list of your values, like honesty, integrity, love for, monogamy, if that's your thing. So get really clear on what your spiritual values are. Peace, not what you don't want. So, that whole war on war or war on cancer, that doesn't work. Fighting against something, flushing out the body of toxins to let go of the cancer cells. That's my philosophy. My philosophy is you be peace and then you'll emanate it out. Okay, so we just have a few more. Here we go. This is the common nutmeg, seeking more adventure, desiring to add spice in one's life. So when I was in Jamaica, every morning we had this delicious, it was like a coconut porridge. And I know it was like fresh coconuts because you could just get it here. And when I got back, I wanted to have it. And so when I looked up the recipe, it was cornmeal, organic. And then I had to use the canned organic coconut milk. And after I cooked up the cornmeal, then I put a can of organic coconut milk in there. And then I put in some cinnamon, vanilla, and a little bit of nutmeg. And I very rarely use nutmeg. I used to drink eggnog, and I don't do eggnog anymore, but oh my God. So nutmeg has to do with the spice of life. You want a little spice in life. So again, I started living this kind of like solemn life, not solemn, but just me and the dogs and this. And I just want a little more spice in life. So I've already, scheduled some more adventures. So if that's you, go on some adventures and you'll make some new friends. And so this is the more in depth about this particular seashell. It says, nutmeg is the spice used to enhance flavor of food. So seeking more adventure. Even something as simple, I've lived in Reston for 20 years. Well, it is hot, but I started going to the pool and I was worried about the chlorine. And so I just took my hair, I tied it up, put on a bathing cap. I put on those eye goggles because I didn't want the chlorine to get in my eyes. I sat under an umbrella where there were lots of trees, and I got there early, not between 11 and 3 when it's 96 degrees. And just going to the Reston pool was just really refreshing for me. So just start going on little excursions or vacations. It could be, like I said, just a 5-minute drive to the pool. Maybe it's going to be an hour to the nearest freshwater lake that you can swim in. But add a little more spice to your life. So I've got 2 more seashells that I really liked, and then I'm going to get into the ones that I was like repulsed by, that I didn't like. And that means the opposite of whatever it means. So here we go. Seashell number 194, Candelabra trifon, burning the candle at both ends, taking on too many projects. So I understand that very well. I call myself Earthlight Promotions, and there was a time where I worked for a busy Natural Awakenings magazine, and I worked at a women's gym right around the corner, and then I also walked my neighbor's dog when she couldn't walk her dog, and then I had like some website stuff. I'm not a web designer, but I did customer service, and I would just take on too much, and I have a little bit of focus issues. So this is really telling me focus. So like for the next 3 hours, I am just focused on ocean oracle. I'm not looking at my phone. I'm not taking on too many projects. And so if that's you, this is a big time, because time is sped up like you wouldn't believe. It's not just because you're getting older, because it has sped up based on what's going on the planet. So my motto right now is, I am a turtle. And I just slow down my breathing. So I might breathe in 6. Breathe out 8. Slow it down. If all I can do is a 15-minute warm-up using the JDEV, I'm part of the Inner University, then I will do that. Just do a little bit. It's better than nothing. On the days you have more time, maybe do an hour of Kundalini yoga or Hatha yoga or breath work or sound healing. My son is a sound healer, but it's time to slow down. Now, just because you slow down doesn't mean you don't get a lot done. Just means you're not doing it with a chicken, like a chicken with its head cut off. Ew, that's a bad, I don't know, why do we say things like that? That's such a bad image, especially when you don't eat chicken anymore. But anyway, burning the candles at both ends, taking on too many projects. Note, attraction to the shell cautions that scattering one's energy in too many directions may result in ineffectiveness. Let me repeat that. If you take on too many projects, you end up becoming ineffective. Now, I know I live in Greater Washington, and there are people that are working for the government. There are people that are working for those 3-letter agencies, and they feel in order to compete and not get fired that they have to soup themselves up on coffee. Now, if you're going to do coffee, try and do some organic coffee, get it at My Organic Market. Maybe put in some coconut milk as opposed to, a cow that's been injected with who knows what. Just be mindful of how you're giving yourself energy. Maybe drink some green tea or do something natural. Like I love cacao. I've got my cacao right here. I even took a break from it 10 days before I went to my detox in Jamaica. but this is authentic cacao from Guatemala. And I put in a little bit, just a little bit of turmeric, a little bit of cinnamon, pinch of cayenne pepper, which makes the turmeric work better. And then I might put in, if I feel like it, I might put in like a little stevia leaf, a little bit of honey, and also you can put in a little bit of nutmeg, you know. So anyway, this is my energy in the morning. I don't drink it late at night, but it does have magnesium in it, and magnesium is something that relaxes you, so you don't get hyper. And then I will also put in here, like, let's see, what else did I put in here? Coconut milk. I told you about the turmeric helps with the movement of your muscles and your bones. It helps with flexibility. So, yeah. And then if you drink a cup of that, I make it pretty strong, then drink a glass of filtered water, not tap water or spring water. And if you see what's in here, I put some fresh mint from my balcony. Because it does have, it has theobromine in it, which is like, creates a terrain in the brain that gives you a serotonin uptake. And you won't be as hungry. So if I drink that in the morning, like at 10 o'clock, I may not be hungry till 1 or 2. It's very nourishing. So the last one that I liked, that looks good over here. 177, Victor Dan's Lackey Access. Victor Dan's Lackey Access, love of pets and animals. Well, that's true. If anyone knows me, they know that I love pets and animals. That's what I do part-time. I mean, it started when I had a cacao ceremony. This couple, it was the first time, it was like in 2016, I believe. It was really thick cacao. I drank it. They started singing these really wonderful ancient chants. And all of a sudden, I kind of went into a trance, and I saw myself kissing all the dogs in the neighborhood. I'm like, that's weird. And I didn't think much about it. And then a neighbor who had my same name, she's like, you know, I'm on the 3rd floor. I had 2 knee replacements. I can't walk up and down the steps. I can do the morning walk. I hired someone to run the dogs. It was a greyhound. Can you do the evening walk? I'll pay you $15. I was like, sure. I started doing that. And then another neighbor to my right, unfortunately, her mother had to go in a nursing home, and she found herself with 2 dogs and having to visit her mother a lot. So I started, taking care of those dogs. And then my job with Natural Awakenings just ended. She sold the Natural Awakenings franchise, and it slowly turned into more than just a part-time job. And now I stay in beautiful homes and take care of people's dogs. So I'm definitely a dog lover. I definitely love animals. I'm definitely into protecting them. I'm super into anyone who's open to it, referring them to holistic vets like Dr. Prema whose office is in Gaithersburg, and feeding dog healthy meats, not necessarily all that kibble stuff. Like, there are some good kibbles, but they evolved from wolves. They definitely need some decent chicken. They can't be vegetarians, and beef and salmon. That's they need some good food and some probiotics. So definitely into that. Let's see what else is written about this seashell. Number 177. Oh, not much. Love of pets and animals. So you see, it's like, this is just 3 words, and then this other one, the fossil, she has a whole page written about it. So, all right. So I'm just about to wrap up. So let me give you the 4 seashells that I did not like, that I was not attracted to, that kind of gave me the heebie-jeebies. Okay. So the first one, see this one here, is coral. Okay, it has to do with competition. Now, the fact that I don't like the seashell, that it means I don't have to deal with competing. When I was younger, there were women that tried to compete with me, or I was trying to compete with them, or you know what I mean? And they set women up with that, with all these beauty pageants and everything. Why can't Miss Panama be beautiful, and Miss America be beautiful, and Miss Africa be beautiful, and Miss Kenya, different strokes for different folks. So I'm not competing with anyone. Sometimes I'll compete with myself. So 2 years ago, I could only do maybe 2 seconds of stretch pose. Now I could do 3 sets of 30 seconds. Now, life is up and down. Sometimes you're more fit, sometimes you're less fit, sometimes you have more money. But the fact that I do not like the seashell is all about competition, and it means the opposite. I don't have to compete with anybody. If I want to set some goals for myself, that's perfectly okay. And the reason for that is that calcium crystals are essential building blocks for both shells and corals. Did you know that? Live coral compete with mollusks. Mollusks are the animals that live inside the seashells for the dissolving of calcium into their immediate surroundings. Scientists believe to aid in this competition, the coral will release a substance that is repugnant to mollusks. So mollusks will smell this substance and go, oh, I don't want to go into that live coral colony. However, although many mollusks find shelter in coral graveyards, very few exist with live coral. So if you see live coral, you're not going to see a lot of live mollusks living among them because they're competing for the calcium, because they need the calcium to build their shells, and the coral need the calcium to build. So it has to do with competition, and that's the behavior group. But because I do not like this shell, I have no one to compete with. There's no competition for what I do. I'm a unique being. Same with you. You don't have to compete with anybody. If you're a swimmer on the Olympic team, yes, you're going to be competing with someone in the Olympics. However, don't focus on the competition of the other person. Just do your very best. And what is your soul mission? Now, this seashell, see, it's kind of not attractive looking. It's the 136, common dystorio. Common dystorio. Someone distorting the truth, being a liar. Someone distorting the truth and being a liar. So let's see what this means. And again, this is the opposite. So this shell received its name from its kind of distorted, mangled looking growth pattern around the mouth. When something is distorted, it's twisted or stretched. A person who distorts the truth stretches and lies. Note, while this usually shows up in a person's life, it also can represent a person who subconsciously thinks, well, everybody lies, which he or she uses as permission to lie as well. So as I've gone on my spiritual journey, I know the importance of integrity and not even telling and I don't know why do they call it white lies and black lies, but lies, not lies, lie. So I'm doing the best I can, even with my taxes, to keep track of all the money that I've made through the dog sitting stuff, and all the money that I've made is, through doing other things that I do and being as honest as I can. Now, of course, be smart and take advantage of if you go to a third world country and you're doing philanthropy work, cross your T's, dot your I's, know how to start a 501c, but it's about lying. It's about saying, well, everyone does it. I mean, look at what's happening with our politicians. Look what's happening with big pharma, big agriculture, big military industrial complex saying we have to be in this war. But just because they're lying, we can be in integrity. Now, there's 2 more seashells I'm going to pick. Hi, I got my first hello. Someone from Austin, Texas, Cat Miller. Yay! Hey, how you doing? I'm finishing up a 40-minute ocean oracle reading using 8 to 10 seashells that I was attracted to and 3 to 4 that I was not attracted to. So if you're tuning in, this reading is also for you. So the last 2 seashells, one is the bleeding tooth nerite, which means sudden change in circumstances, leaving one unprepared. Well, the fact that I did not like this seashell, that means we're going to have a lot of different circumstances changing in the next year, and you've got to be flexible. One of the things I learned when I was on the retreat in Jamaica, when I drank this tree bark called Neo Rao, was that when the storms come, and the storms are coming and the storms are here, sway gently like a strong tree, okay? Because if you're not flexible, you're not going to make it. So this is a seashell called the bleeding tooth narite, means sudden change in circumstances, leaving one unprepared. So that means you will be prepared for the changes that are coming on a global scale and within your own life. Let's see if Michelle Hanson has anything else. Nope, that's all it says. Sudden change in circumstances, leaving one unprepared. The opposite of that is you will be prepared with the changing circumstances. Be flexible and be prepared, because there's a lot coming down the pike this year. We're only halfway through it. And the last seashell that I picked that I didn't like, see here? This is seashell number 17, the Imperial Delphinina. Okay, it says, going at a slower pace in order to flourish, retreating in order to grow. Okay, so this means the opposite. And I told you that my motto is being a turtle, but being a turtle does not mean that you don't get a lot done. The turtle wins the race. So what this is telling me is that I will be going at a little bit of a faster pace, but it'll be methodical, and I will flourish and in order to grow. And it says retreating. So now I'm going to be coming out of my shell, so to speak. Oh, look, I did a pun. Coming out of my shell, so to speak. Almost like I got this the other day when I went to Holistic. And see, this is Venus. And she's in her shell, and she's got her pearl. And the pearl is created out of irritation. So the more irritants that you're able to get through with a smile on your face, saying, how does it get any better than this? You will create a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful seashell. Thank you for saying I look fantastic. I mean, it really helped that I spent, 10 days in Jamaica, June 3rd to the 10th, eating fruits and vegetables, doing sacred plants, really detoxing. So it wasn't just something I did on my own. It was a wonderful retreat, and I had a lot of help. So I feel pretty good right now. So the last seashell, let's look it up, number 17. So just to recap, if you want a seashell reading with me, I'm going to email you pictures of 200 seashells, and you just take a breath, kind of relax, and pick 8 to 10 that, kind of come out at you. Send me the numbers of them, and 3 to 4 that you don't like, which will mean the opposite. So this last seashell, let's see if she wrote anything else about that. The Imperial Delphinina. Going at a slower pace in order to flourish, retreating in order to grow. In order for a shell's spines to fully develop in length, the Imperial Delphinina must reside in a slow, calm, and quiet waters. Note, since quiet time is required to confront troubling issues, if the seashell repulses someone, it indicates that this person may look for distractions to avoid facing or dealing with problems. Now that totally relates to me, because I get really clear on what my soul mission is, and then I can get distraction. Now, a lot of us get distracted on Instagram and all of that. So, like as I said in the beginning, this is time to go deep in what is my soul mission. Does it have to do with natural medicine, holistic health, the environment? Focus on what it is you want. What are you here to do? That's your unique mission. So what I get from this, I'll recap here. So this was my first seashell that I picked. All right. Pursuit of a relationship causing problems and compromising in order to mate. So this is the Delceria lyria. So basically what that means is I have to be very cautious, but not afraid. If I'm going to get into a relationship, is this keeping me on my soul mission or path, or is this a distraction? Because this mollusk lives in very, very deep water, and the only time it can get captured is when it goes to shallow water to mate. Seashell number 108, Tori's whelk, someone or something increasing in value. So remember, this seashell was like abundant on all the beaches, and it wasn't really worth that much. And then all of a sudden, it was really hard to find, and it became worth a lot of money. that indicates that you will meet someone, or I will meet someone, and over time they will increase in value. And that's the way a relationship should be, is you get to know the person. Pacific Trumpet Triton, one's purpose or calling in life. This is the time that we all need to step into what is our soul mission and stay on that path. The next one is the Indian Shank, something or someone being held sacred or dear. Get to know the person that you are thinking of dating, and they will become more sacred and dear. This was a personal message I did for myself, but anyone who's tuned in or watches it, it is a message for you as well. So it is a collective message, yes. Okay, massive devastation or destruction force affecting many. This is the African land shell. And remember, this one, unfortunately, ate so much vegetation, ate so much vegetation that it created more destruction than all the bombs in World War II. So for me, this is about me being on the mission for peace. Focus on peace, not anti-war, not anti-anything. Focus on peace. The snail was so destructive that there was a reward for collecting them and killing them, but it didn't work. So just collecting and killing isn't going to work. We have to focus. Don't be like, you have to focus on peace. Don't be anti-anyone, even if it's, Russia or whatever. Just focus on peace. The scarlet meter is embarrassment or humiliation or shame. So it's time to let go of all of the shame and the humiliation and the pain from your subconscious and up to 7 generations in the past. So if you had a mom who wasn't feeling good about herself because your dad left her or didn't marry her or ended up with another woman, it's time to flush all that out and let it go, because then you'll be open to what you really deserve. And again, this is a personal message for me, but anyone who's tuning in, it is a message for you as well. The Episcopal meter is, what is your spiritual values? What is your religion? Again, it looks like those big hats that the clergy wear. So be focused on your spiritual mission. Common nutmeg, add a little spice to your life. I have spent a lot of time living this kind of pious celibate life. And after going to Jamaica, I've decided to have more adventures. Even, like I said, even if it's just going to the Reston Pool, it may be going up to Maine in September. I'll tell you more about that. There's a lot of things that I have on my calendar now to get me out there. And this is called the Candelabra Trifon. This has to do with burning the candle at both ends. So as I'm talking to you about doing all these activities, I'm also being very mindful not to burn myself out. Just say half the day I'm going to focus on seashell readings, then I'll go to the pool, and then maybe I'll focus on my newsletter, or focus on, since it's almost 100 degrees out, if I'm walking a neighbor's dog, maybe that's all I'll do that day. So this is a big caution for you, especially if you're a light worker, not to spread yourself too thin. And this is the last one that I picked that I really like. And again, I would email you the pictures of these seashells, and you pick 8 to 10 that you really like. And this is Victor Dan's Lachius, love of pets and animals. Well, anyone who knows me knows I love animals. I've been doing this whole dog walking, pet sitting since 2017, and it came to me through drinking cacao at a cacao ceremony, and I was just helping neighbors, and now it's my part-time gig. Yeah. And the last 4 that I did not like, this is the coral, and coral competes with mollusks for calcium, because the mollusks need the calcium to build their shell. Because I don't like it, means I don't have to compete with anyone. And that old paradigm of, dog eat dog, or I've got to compete with this woman because she's younger, or, all of that is done. That's old paradigm. Just, if you want, compete with yourself a little bit. Like I said, I couldn't even do one stretch pose more than 2 seconds a year and a half ago. now I can do 30 seconds of stretch pose. So I methodically got better and better going on JDev's Inner University. What exercise program do you want to do? I do walk, but I'm not going to be, fast-paced walking when it's 94 degrees. So it's about balance. It's about balance, and do not compete with anybody else, and don't over-compete with yourself. And this seashell looks kind of yucky, huh? Common dystoria, which is someone distorting the truth, being a liar. So for me, it's really about integrity, telling the truth, even like being more, as I said, impeccable with my record keeping when it comes to my taxes and everything like that. But be smart, be smart, write off whatever you can, but don't go with that, well, everybody lies, so it's okay for me to lie. You don't have to tell everyone everything, but especially if you're interested in making new friends, be as authentic as you can. That's the new thing. It's like walking in a room with the really long, fake hair and lashes, if that's your thing. But people, as we go into this new earth, they're going to be able to see right through that. That doesn't mean don't I colored my hair a little bit, but it means it's about being authentic, being your true self. Okay. And the last two, bleeding truth narrate, sudden changes in circumstances, leaving one unprepared. And the main message is be like a strong tree, and when the storm comes, whether it's barrel or whatever, just bend slowly with the storm, because there's going to be a lot of earth changes and a lot of storms, and be in tune with where you want to be. Okay. Oh, I moved back to the East Coast to Georgia in the end of the spring next year. Great. Yeah, we're definitely going to have to get together. And the last one is the Imperial Delphina, which is going at a slower pace and needing to retreat in order to grow. So I'm going to methodically be going a little bit faster, and I'm going to be getting myself out there more. So that is my message. I think I went a little bit over. It's 1 hour and 2 minutes, but normally, a seashell reading can be like 40 minutes to an hour. And I'll be more than happy to give you a seashell reading on Zoom. If you happen to live in Northern Virginia, I wouldn't mind if you came over or I met you somewhere. And based on the astrology, this is a really good time for all of us to flush out our body, especially as hot as it is right now. Just do lots and lots and lots of juicing. Get yourself a good water filter. And, Texas is not for you. Well, that's why you have to explore. I thought I was going to create a healing center in Costa Rica, and I realized Costa Rica is not for me at this time. I can blame it on COVID and all that. But that's why it's a good idea, before you move anywhere, if you can, just rent a place for a couple of months. So that's all I got for you today. Thank you so much. I got one person who I don't go on YouTube much, but I'm going to start doing more and more YouTubes. And it's really wonderful to be able to connect with you all. And it's Beverly. I'm a sensitive. I'm a double water ocean oracle. What the seashells have to reveal about your true nature. And bye for now. And give me an email or a text. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. And I'm really looking forward to helping people with their soul mission and their messages that they would like to get me using the tool of Ocean Oracle. Bye for now.